All right, first and foremost, I want to begin this lesson by giving all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Quadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. I'm the brother YASHARAHLA, back with another quick lesson, Lord willing, it's edifying. And this is just some quick breaking news concerning the Russian-Iranian Strategic Partnership Treaty, which was made official just a few days ago, probably about a week ago now, by President Vladimir Putin. All right, he ratified the treaty, which was first introduced January 17th, 2025. So this is important news because we know that according to Bible prophecy, Russia and Iran, which was formerly known as Persia, you know, they're strengthening their ties and their relationship together, and they're doing that in order to fight this third world war together, all right, which is going to be fought mainly against America, the state of Israel, but also America being the Israelis' biggest ally, right, which those people in that land, they are not the Jews. The scriptures say those that say they are Jews but do lie. We know that those are really Edomites of the tribe of Amalek, and they're pretending to be Jews. They're imposters. All right. And the Lord is going to use Gog and Magog, which is Russia, along with America's adversaries such as China and North Korea, Iran, and many other nations, as well as America's allies such as NATO and the EU. We know they're all going to come together at some point to destroy America, Babylon the Great, in the Third World War. And that destruction is going to come via thermonuclear missiles, which is coming out a lot in the news that Iran has all type of nuclear missile technology. All right, which is the prophecy of Joel, the 3rd chapter. Let the weak say I am strong. So I'm going to get a couple of these scriptures. I'm going to start with Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. In the book of Revelation, which is visions that was given to the apostle John on the island of Patmos, right, he saw 3 major wars. The angels called them woe. A woe is a great destruction. They said woe, woe, woe. All right, it talks about the first woe. I believe that's Revelation 9, if I'm not mistaken. Then you got the second woe, and then after the second woe is the third woe, and there's no mention of any fourth woe. So we conclude through the Holy Spirit that these woes are talking about the 3 world wars. You have World War I, World War II, and now we in the midst of World War III. And this war is going to be fought by missiles. It's not going to be fought by conventional warfare, even though you're going to have conventional, you know, foot war or whatever, you know, tanks and different, you know, weaponry like that. But we know this is the war to end all wars. Right, just like all the world leaders know, there's no winners, there's no victors of World War III, because once those nuclear missiles get fired off, everything is destroyed. All right, this is that third world war. This is that third woe that's coming quickly. Really, after World War II ended, this third world war already was started, man. The Cold War, there was also another name they was calling it at that time, which was basically a nuclear arms race, but they also called it World War III. That term was already being used back then. All right, so we've been in the development of World War III, and this thing is picking up steam. But we know that things are bound by prophecy, by the will of Yahweh Shai Shai, who's the one who declared the end from the beginning, the one that the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. We know that according to the Bible, the microchip implant, the RFID microchip implant, which is the mark of the beast, that has to be made mandatory before this third world war goes nuclear. But while we're watching and waiting on that prophecy, we could clearly see that things is picking up steam in the Middle East. All right, we could see that them gutter rats, they can't wait to step they feet into the land of Iran. You know, they can't wait to bomb them and attack them as part of their greater Israel project. We know there's a whole plan and, you know, scheme or whatever you want to call it behind that, why they want to get Iran. But we see that Russia is playing their part in prophecy. Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, they're playing their part in being a guard onto them. You see, they're basically there to defend Iran against these other Edomites, because Russia, they're Edomites too. You see, so it's not like in the end, when all is said and done, Russia is also going to be destroyed in this third world war. It's just that America, which is the sinful kingdom, Babylon the Great, this place is going to get pelted to the point where it's completely desolated and it will never be rebuilt again. It's going to be left as a memorial, as a desert of, you know, the wickedness and the rebellion against Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So I'm going to read a little bit of this article before I get into more scriptures. This is Reuters.com. What are Russia's strategic treaties with Iran, North Korea, and China? And it says Russia signed a strategic partnership treaty with Iran on Friday that follows similar pacts with China and North Korea. All three countries are adversaries of the United States, and Russia has used its ties with them to help blunt the impact of Western sanctions and boost its war effort in Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping met in Beijing on February 4th, 2022, and announced a strategic partnership that they said was aimed at countering the influence of the United States and would have no forbidden areas of cooperation. It was signed 20 days before Putin launched his full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It says Moscow and Beijing said their relationship was superior to any Cold War-era alliance, and they would work together in fields including space, climate change, artificial intelligence, and control of the internet. They did not declare a formal military alliance, but have held high-profile joint exercises in the past 3 years. And Putin has described China as an ally. Bilateral trade in dollar terms reached $244.8 billion in 2024, up from $146.9 billion in 2021. And China is a top buyer of Russian oil. The U.S. accuses China of helping to power Russia's war effort in Ukraine by providing it with components used in arms production, such as microelectronics that it can no longer source in the West because of sanctions. So everything that America been doing is basically pushing its adversaries, its enemies, closer together, to work closer together. And this is a strategic thing that really the Lord is doing. All right, remember Proverbs 21:1, the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord. The heart, going back to the Hebrew word lab, which is their mind, their seat of their thoughts, which is basically leads to their actions. The preparation of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. That's Proverbs 16:1. So we know that there really is no free will. All right, who have resisted his will? Romans the 9th chapter, meaning the Yahweh Shem Yahushai's will. He's already declared the end from the beginning. He already prophesied how the end would come. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Esau being a so-called white man. How is he the end of the world? Because this third world war that's getting ready to go nuclear is not going to be no winners of that war. Russia is not coming up next. That's bullshit. Any Israelites teaching that, Genesis and whoever else, those are false prophets. You shouldn't listen to them, because they're not telling you the truth of the will of the Lord, man. They don't know the will of the Lord. They don't know the Lord himself. All right. Russia is not going to have next, because they're also going to get destroyed in this third world war. Putin knows that. Trump knows that. All these Edomites, these top world leaders, they all know that they call it MAD, M-A-D. It's an acronym, mutually assured destruction. They know that if one person shoots a missile, you're going to have to retaliate with another missile. And eventually, once all these missiles are fired off, everything gets destroyed, man. Now, they saying the planet Earth is going to be destroyed, and it's the planet itself is not going to be destroyed, but there is going to be great catastrophic destruction. All right, the Earth is going to change. The Earth is going to be terraformed, just like it was in the flood, because this is the second death. This is that lake of fire. America itself being a lake of fire, but the missiles going from one end of the earth to the other and causing that level of destruction, making the earth real to and fro. All right, that's Isaiah the 21st chapter. We know that that's going to change the planet. That's the second death, man. All right, and that's where billions of people is going to die. All right, in the new world, which is the kingdom of heaven, Yahushai's kingdom by default, but Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans being joint heirs to that kingdom. That's when that kingdom is going to be established in the earth. That's when Yahushua is going to come back, save his elect, the nation of Israel, the elect of the nation of Israel, from this nuclear destruction and use the remaining heathen nations that survived this war, you know, ones that go into bunkers, the elites, etc., use them to rebuild the next world, our world, the kingdom of Israel. All right, these things are all prophesied. This is the reason why Yahweh Shemel Shai has his prophets out here prophesying about this third world war, prophesying these different things, watching the news, being watchmen. This is why the Lord have done that, so the elect of the nation of Israel could receive this word with faith, with belief in Yahweh Shai, so they could be saved from it. Matter of fact, I got a quick scripture. Revelation chapter 7:1. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. That would be the 4 archangels, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. The wind that is talking about is Jeremiah 51:1, a destroying wind. And that's the results of a nuclear warhead detonating. All right, they call it a fallout. I think they have other names. I can't think of them right now, but you basically get that wind, that wall of fire that sweeps through the land after the warhead detonates at ground zero. All right, so that's the destroying wind that it's talking about. And it says that they're holding it back. What does that mean? They're holding the winds back. They're basically not letting this war go nuclear just yet, because there's a prophecy that has to come to pass first, which is Revelation 13:16-18. Also Revelation 3:10, the hour of temptation, that has to come first. All right, so that the elect could prove their faith to Yahweh Shemel Shai. And also this word has to go out through the 4 corners of the earth, according to Matthew 24:14. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and then shall the end come. All right, Yahweh Shai said that. So why does the gospel have to be preached in all the world? Because the elect is scattered. Because the nation of Israel is scattered in the 4 corners of the world, and they have to hear this word and be sealed. It's going to say that. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. This is talking about the 144,000, which is the government of the kingdom of heaven. All right, the 144,000 men, 12,000 out of every tribe of the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is going to be the government of the next world that's going to be set up here on the planet Earth, which is the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Yahweh Shai. So that's what the Lord is waiting for. That's why this thing hasn't happened yet. That's why Iran still got time to make more missiles and develop their nuclear arsenal, you know, advance it even more. That's why these people are being given time. It's all for the elect to hear this word and be sealed. That's why we're prophesying about this. All right, they call us the prophets of doom. We like that. I like that title. But the reason why we're prophesying it and bringing it out is so that the elect of the nation of Israel, the servants of Yahweh Shemel Shai, could be sealed in their foreheads. How are they going to be sealed? We get one more, and I'm going to get into these other war prophecy scriptures. Revelation 14:1, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. When you read that, is it the NLT? Let me see something real quick. Yeah, in the NLT, it says, then I saw the Lamb, which is Yahweh Shai, standing on Mount Zion, which is the nation of Israel. Zion in the Hebrew to Zion, which means a monument, a memorial, showing you that the Lord, he was never going to change and forsake his people, the Israelites. He chose the Israelites, and those are still his people till the end, for all eternity. All right. And with him were 144,000. That's what we just read in Revelation 7. Those servants who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. So you got to have both names, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right. You got to have these names sealed in your mind. We have to teach you these names. What is that? Isaiah. Let me see. 56. It might be 56. Let me check real quick. Here it is. Isaiah 52 verse 6. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that doth speak. Behold, it is I. So the elect of the nation of Israel, Sirach 17:10, it said they shall praise his holy name. So they're going to be sealed with the names of Yahweh Shai and Yahweh in their forehead. And those are the ones who's going to be spared. That's also Ezekiel 9:4. It says, set a mark upon the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations in the midst thereof. You go into that word mark in the Hebrew is tawa, which is a mark of exemption from judgment. So that's the only reason, why we still prophesying this word. That's why these things haven't come to pass yet. You people think we just talking shit. You think it's some type of conspiracy, or we just are deceived and we don't understand the Bible. And no, it's really all about the elect of the nation of Israel receiving the understanding by the mouth of the prophets, which is the mouthpiece of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and them hearing those names, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, believing in those names and being sealed to be saved from the destruction that's getting ready to come. All right, because if the angels loose that destruction now, you will have some of the elect that they didn't get the truth yet. And this is a hypothetical. This is not going to happen, but it's hypothetical. They would be destroyed. And we know the Lord is not going to let, it said, any least of the grain fall to the earth in Amos 9, I think 9:9. All right, he's going to sift the house of Israel from amongst all nations. He's not going to let the least grain fall to the earth, representing that none of the elect is going to be forgotten. Elect means chosen, predestined. All right, the Lord chose these spirits from before the foundation of the earth to save them in these last days from this great destruction, man. The second death. All right, that they should not taste of the second death. Just like Noah and his 3 sons and their wives, they were all preserved from that flood. So in these times, you got the prophets once again in the stead of Noah prophesying about this flood. This time is going to be fire, not water, because the Most High gave the rainbow, right, as a covenant that he would not destroy the earth with water again. But he never said nothing about fire. So you people get things twisted. You think when Yahweh said that, he was saying he's never going to destroy the earth again. He didn't say that. He said with water. So that's why every time it rains, you get a rainbow, which is supposed to signify mercy. It's supposed to show you, you're supposed to see it and understand and know, all right, the rain is going to stop. It's not going to keep going like in the time of Noah, because that's basically what happened. The Lord caused rain to fall upon the earth, something that people never seen. At that time, it was just dew from heaven to water the earth. There was never like thunderstorm and rain clouds and stuff like that. The Lord opened up the heavens and he made the water flood upon the earth. So basically, we could have like a form of PTSD if the Most High don't give us a rainbow. It's like you kind of traumatized and shit. Like, damn, is the rain gonna stop or is it gonna be another flood? That's the point of the rainbow. The Most High never said he wasn't gonna destroy it at all. This time he's doing it by fire. All right, Isaiah 9:5. That's the prophecy what Isaiah saw. All right, he said that roughly paraphrasing it, right? Every battle of the warrior is fought with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. He had a vision of World War III, all right, a war of nuclear missiles. That's what he saw, all right, as opposed to conventional warfare, foot soldiers, hand-to-hand combat, using military might as far as men, right, mighty men. Which there is going to be conventional war on the earth as well. But the thing about it is that the nuclear missile is the great equalizer. So even a little nation like Iran, them having nuclear missiles is actually a threat to America's hegemony. All right, because though they're just a small people, which are the Persians, according to the Bible, they have the power to destroy America. So now you got to be careful how you treat them. You got to be careful how you how could I say it, like, they want to invade them, but they have to do it strategically. But that's the point of this Russian-Iranian strategic treaty. The whole point of it is to basically strengthen their relationship. So now if you attack Iran, you're attacking Russia. They're going to take it as it's an attack on them because now they have made them an ally. All right, this is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathen nations. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And that's what they're doing. They're sending troops to the Middle East. They're getting their foots on the ground, so to speak, for this third world war. all right, to basically attack, to defend, you know, move in here, move there, put their troops over here. They're waking up. They're getting roused up for World War III, and it's the Lord that's doing that, all right? He's the one that mustered the host to the battle, okay? The Lord is a man of war. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi is his name. So it's the Lord that's ultimately putting the spirit on these nations to get ready for World War III. They're gathering where? In the valley of Jehoshaphat. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. What does that mean? They're taking their money and their investments of agriculture, you know, tilling the land, establishing more infrastructure, and instead of doing that, they're investing into warfare because they understand that America, which is basically the hammer of the earth, all right, in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, they're basically, you know, going around terrorizing the planet Earth. They have basically a strong, they have a strong presence on the planet. So now they don't have time and money and efforts to build up their agriculture. They got to get ready for war. They got to build up their arsenals. They got to build up their military might to defend themselves against America. All right, to defend themselves against the Israelis. You see, all these smaller nations, they're not taking the bullying no more. And also how they're being made strong, the weak, such as North Korea, Iran, etc. They're making allies and partnerships with the stronger nations, such as China and Russia. Really the only nations that could compete with America on that type of level. All right, so this is what's going on here, man. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So even the angels are coming down. All right, we read that in Revelation 7. They're basically refereeing this war. You know, they're making sure they don't start it too early, right? Because that's why I said they're holding it back. But also when it's actually time for this Third World War to go nuclear, they're going to be the ones that push it to go forward. They're going to release those seals, which represents how, like we read, the elect getting the truth. Once the elect get this truth, then it's a wrap. All right. The Lord is going to actually come back. Yahawashi is coming in the midst of this Third World War. All right. Once they implement that chip, because they got to do that first, once again. But let's go to Ezekiel 38, and then I'm going to close out there. Ezekiel chapter 38. And I'm going to start at 1. The point is in 7, but I'm going to read it through. I'm going to read it quick. Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of the Lord, Yahweh Yahawashi, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, which is talking about Russia today. If you look at a map, you look at an ancient world map, you do a little research, all right, the scholars will tell you that the land of Magog, Gog and Magog, is basically like the southern part of Russia. So we're going to conclude that it's talking about Russia today. They're the ones that's playing this part of this prophecy. Gog and Magog getting ready for the war of Armageddon. That's in the book of Revelation. Armageddon in the Hebrew tongue, which means mountain of troops. Russia could destroy America with foot soldiers and with missiles. They can't stand up against Russia. You see, now they probably the next close, I don't know, I can't even say that, but I'll say they're probably giving the fairest fight. Maybe China, I don't know. But as far as prophecy's sake, it tells you that Gog and Magog will be the ones to destroy America, the Medes, all right? And also you had that ancient kingdom, which was what? The Persians and the Medes. The Persians being the Iranians, the Medes being the Russians. So you see, history is repeating itself, but not only that, prophecy is being fulfilled, because there were certain prophecies that spoke about the Medes destroying Babylon, but the Medes never destroyed Babylon back in that time. All right, the Persians and the Medes did not destroy Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. All right, they didn't shoot it with fire. They didn't burn her with fire. But that's what it says in the prophecy, though. So what was that talking about? That was talking about in these last days how Russia and Iran was going to partner up to destroy America. And not only just Iran, like the article said, you got China and North Korea as well that have allied themselves with Russia. So it's going to be all these heathen nations against Babylon the Great. It said in Jeremiah 50:9 to put yourselves in array, battle array against her, and all of them shoot their arrows at her, man. So that means what? They have all their nuclear missiles aimed at America. It says, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh by Shemel Shah, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So the Lord is not with the Russians, all right? He's not with them in the sense of, you know, even though they're going to destroy America, they're not going to be rewarded for destroying America. They're not going to be dealt with by mercy by the Lord. They're going to also be destroyed, right? America's going to fire their missiles right back at Russia. They're not going to get away. They're not going to have necks. The Lord ain't dealing with them. The Lord is dealing with the children of Israel and the elect right now, the elect of the children of Israel. Those are the ones who got necks. Those are the ones who's going to be shown mercy and who the Lord is with and not against. Everybody else, the Lord is against them, including 2/3 of his own people. You see, it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army and horsemen, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. So the military might of Russia, they're going to be brought to wherever the Lord wants them to go. Putting hooks in thy jaw, you got to picture it like a fish. You know, when you put a hook in the jaws of a fish in their cheek, you got to reel that fish in. You know, you got to pull it in. Whether it's trying to go this way, you pulling it this way. So representing what? The direction that Russia is going in is really the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai that's pulling them in that direction to make these different agreements and treaties and partnerships, you know, aligning themselves with certain nations is all biblical. It's all prophecy. You see, all the nations that is going to mention here in a second, today, Russia is actually allied with all of these nations. Is that a coincidence? No. That's the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. You see? So that's what it means. The Lord's putting hooks in their jaws. It said to, and bring thee forth. So the Lord is making them go to this war. So it says, even a great company with buckler and shields, all of them handling swords. So the modern day sword is the gun. All right. And that's what they're doing. They're setting their troops in different parts of the Middle East, you know, in Ukraine. And they're pretty much positioning themselves for a third world war. They're doing different military drills. They're sending aid to these weaker nations to help strengthen them up. All right, so they can't get bullied by America, by the West. It says Persia, Ethiopia. Persia is Iran. That's why you have the Persian Gulf. That's their little body of water. Why is it called the Persian Gulf? Because their name was changed to Iran. I forget what year it was. It's a quick Google search that you can look up for yourself. But they changed their name to Iran. All right, their name actually was Persia just not that long ago, maybe a couple decades ago. You see, but they changed their name to Iran, but the sea is still called the Persian Gulf. So these are the ancient Persians who Gog and Magog, which is Russia, is allied with. It just says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all of his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. So it's not just Russia, it's Russia with all of their allies. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Let me see what that word guard means in the Hebrew. Be thou a guard unto them. Mashamar. Mashamar is a place of confinement, prison, guard, jail, guard post. This is it. Watch, observance, to guard, act of guarding. See? So they're basically protecting them. They're basically confining Iran. They're saying, yeah, we need Iran because there's a lot of trade deals and oil, and you know, Russia actually does need Iran to be who they are as a superpower. So they say, no, you can't touch our Iran. They basically you know, putting their stamp on it, saying, yeah, no, they belong to us. Like, we need them. We need these trade routes. We need these pipelines, et cetera, et cetera. So you can't touch them, because you touching them, you basically making an attack on us. Because if you destroy Iran or take over Iran, that's going to weaken Russia. They're not going to allow that. You see? So that's what it means. They're being a guard onto these smaller nations. They're going to help them with missiles. They're going to give them different technologies, different knowledge. All right, help them accelerate their nuclear arsenals, build missiles faster, give them the equipment, the supply, whatever they need, whatever they want. Why? Because that's a true ally. America and Israel, there's no true alliance there. It's a one-sided relationship. Okay, it's a one-sided relationship. America just backs Israel up. Israel does not contribute anything back to America. And I'm going to get that in Jeremiah, because this is how it's all going to go down, man. All right. Once Israel makes that move, they're going to have to deal with Russia. They can't even deal with the Arabs out there, man. They need American military might. And that's another thing. When you look into 9/11, and they say it was a Zionist conspiracy, that they the ones that did it. It was the Israelis that bombed the towers, man. Why would they do that? Because they needed American troops over there in the Middle East to help them. All right, to help them with their agendas. All right, their Greater Israel project. They need more might. They need more military might. All right, they are a weak nation, and they only relying on the back and the economy of America. All right, yeah, they may have certain advancements in AI. They may be one of the most advanced when it comes to certain things, but when it comes to raw power and military might, they cannot do it on their own. So that's why it's a one-sided relationship, because they're using America for finances and for strength, for might. All right. And what does Israel give back to America? Nothing. They're just pulling them into this war. They're making them fight for them. And that's why I would say in the spirit, there's going to be another type of event in which they may blame China and Iran, just like that movie Leave the World Behind. Because they did 9/11, they got America out, but now they need more. And you see, like America with Trump, he's basically reluctant to do it. He knows that that's going to it's not going to end well for America or Israel going into Iran, right? So there's going to be some other type of event that's going to have to draw them out. This is Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, that he have taken against Babylon. We know Babylon is America, is also synonymous with Edom. Psalms 137 is also synonymous with Edom, the nation of Edom, the so-called white man. He's the one that rules Babylon the Great. He's the one that established this land. So this is the counsel that the Lord has set against America. This is how he's going to destroy America, and his purposes that he have purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans were like the ancient witches and warlocks of ancient Babylon. So if you compare that today, look at all the witchcraft here in America. All the Baphomet worshipers, all the Satanists. All right, this is the land of the Chaldeans all over again. All the witchcraft that goes on in this place. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. What is the least of the flock talking about? I have made these small among the heathen. Obadiah is talking about the Amalekites. All right, they're the worst of the heathen. They're the worst of the Edomites. All right, that's a specific tribe of Edom, but they are the smallest tribe out of them. All right, the most despised, the most lowest, scumbags, man. They bombed American territory just to get America to help them. All right, what kind of scoundrel does something like that, man? What kind of treacherous being does some shit like that? The Amalekites, the least of the flock, it said it's going to draw them out. When you go into that word, draw them out, it says to basically drag across the earth. So you see America's all the way in the west, Israel's all the way in the east, but yet they're going to be pulled from one end of the earth to the other. Their troops are going to be sent to that land, to the Middle East, to the Valley of Jehoshaphat to fight this war for them. But what is it going to lead to? Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. It's going to make their habitation desolate. All right, Israel and America. It's both going to be destroyed. They both going to end up in the same predicament with Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, all of their allies, as well as America's allies, NATO and the EU. They also going to partake in destroying America and Israel. They're going to shoot their missiles off, man. Everybody's going to shoot their missiles off. Once again, mutual assured destruction. All right, everybody's going to shoot their missiles. This was going to make it a third world war. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved and the cry is heard among the nations. So at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the noisome pestilence, that's Psalm 91. The noisome pestilence is talking about the nuclear missiles, man. They're supersonic, hypersonic. They basically break through the sound barrier because they're going faster than the speed of sound. as well as the explosion, the detonation, that loud kaboom. It said with a great noise in Peter, 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, roughly paraphrasing it. Right? What is the great noise talking about? The missiles, the bombs exploding. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved. So there's going to be a rock. The earth is going to rock to and fro. It's going to get knocked off its axis because of all of the amount of TNT. When you look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Fat Man and Little Boy, the bombs, the atomic bombs that were used to bomb Japan back at the end of World War II, you know, these modern day nuclear missiles now, which are more advanced than atomic missiles, hydrogen bombs, etc., they have way more, hundreds and thousands of times more of TNT, man, of detonation power. So what is that going to do to the earth? It just said it's going to be moved. The earth itself is literally going to move. All right, on this axis, how it has the scriptures say the Lord basically made the foundation. He hung the earth upon nothing, but it's basically floating. You know, not to get too deep in them, but it's flowing in outer space, and it's going to literally move. All right, it's literally going to be shaken and moved off of its course. And that's going to change the planet Earth. That's going to change the temperatures and the atmosphere and everything, man. But they be saying, you know, if you even move the earth a little bit closer to the sun, it would get hotter and stuff like that. A little bit further away, it would get colder, etc. So that's going to basically, like I said earlier, terraform the planet Earth, man. And it said that the cry is heard among the nations. So that links up with Revelation 18 when it tells you that these different nations, they're going to see the smoke of America's burning, and they're going to cry because basically who they're going to sell their goods to. Like China. China is rich mainly off of America being an import first country. All right, how America basically has all of its products is made in China. But if there's nobody to buy these products no more, China economy, they also going to fail. They're going to be destroyed. All right, yeah, certain parts of China itself will be hit with actual missiles, but that's not what's going to completely dismantle them. It's really going to be the fact that America is no longer on the earth. All the nations who sell their goods to America, they all going to understand that, damn, this is our end. We can't be rich no more. We're not going to be able to economically thrive without America. All right, so that's why they're going to be crying and weeping. But ultimately, they're all going to go into slavery. All right, because Yahawashi is going to come in the midst of that nuclear destruction. All right, he's going to save his elect, 144,000 we read about upon Mount Zion. And we're going to go through the earth. Lord willing, I'm one of those men. We're going to go through the earth and gather up you heathens and put you in slavery, put you where you belong to build up the new world. Not your world. China don't got next. Russia don't got next. They all going into slavery. The nation of Israel got next. All right, Yahawashi got next, according to prophecy. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say, Call Haloyim, like Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. Hope and pray you were edified through the Holy Spirit.